Warning, some of these theories may contain Game of Thrones spoilers if they come true. That's how theories work. Season 8 of Game of Thrones starts Sunday, April 14th. It feels like it's been decades since the wall came down at the end of Season 7, but we're finally here. We've made it. Congratulations, everyone. With only 6 episodes left, there is a lot of story to tell and a very limited amount of time to tell it. Theories for Season 8 have been running rampant for the better part of 2 years, and there just isn't enough time for all of them to be real. That being said, there's a good chance at least one of these is somewhat accurate. Let's dive into 5 popular Game of Thrones theories and discuss how they could play out in Season 8. Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4, debut the 6th of August. 17 Episode 64, Season 7, Episode 4, debut the 6th of August. 17, Aidan Gillen. Photo, Helen Sloan, courtesy of HBO 1. Littlefinger is alive. This theory has been teased, debunked, rebunked, and covered extensively by just about every single website with Game of Thrones coverage. Why is it so popular? Why can't we just accept Petyr Baelish's death as one of the show's most satisfying moments? It's simple, this man is a cockroach. He just doesn't die. The one advantage the Stark kids had on Littlefinger in Season 7 was Bran's ability to see the past. The problem is, he gave that away the minute he quoted him to his face, quoting his "Chaos is a ladder" speech to him in Episode 4. Baelish is admittedly fighting every battle, everywhere, always in his mind, so surely this suspicious quote would trigger a couple new battle scenarios for Littlefinger to theorize about. Throughout the rest of his time in Season 7, Littlefinger is leading Arya on in an attempt to turn her on her sister Sansa. He knew he was being followed the entire time and acted suspiciously on several occasions anyway. In the end, he also begged for his life and cried in front of all those around to witness his death. This may seem like something one would do facing death, but a season earlier, Littlefinger was calm as a cucumber when Sansa threatened to have Brienne kill him on the spot. The same thing goes for when he was choked by Ned, Jon and threatened by Cersei. The math doesn't add up. How it could happen? Littlefinger could have paid a faceless man to wear his face and die for him. He could have snuck off to the Eyrie, where he would be protected by little Robin Arryn, who has always liked Baelish despite literally everything about him being the way it is. Page 2 Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 10, Season Finale, debut June 26, 16 Emilia Clarke, Peter Dinklage. Photo, Helen Sloan, courtesy of HBO. Another Targaryen. There's a large group of Game of Thrones theorists that believe Tyrion Lannister is the third head of the three-headed dragon that is the Targaryen sigil. This one is a bit more of a stretch than Jon, who was expected to be a Targaryen from the beginning, but the theory definitely has legs, wings. The theory would imply that the Mad King Aerys II Targaryen either raped or had consensual relations with Joanna Lannister, Tyrion's mother, who died giving birth to him. The Ringer broke down the potential theory in detail here. There's a mountain of evidence suggesting Joanna and Aerys could have been together at some point. There are a few moments throughout Game of Thrones that have pointed to the possibility of Tyrion being a secret Targ. Moments before he murders his father, Tywin tells him, "You're no son of mine." While most think this isn't literal, but more of a last-minute insult towards Tyrion, who was never really accepted by his family, it could still mean Tywin was keeping Tyrion's bloodline secret to avoid family drama. The second, and maybe more telling moment was when Tyrion approached and unchained Rhaegal and Viserion without Daenerys in their presence. It was the only time someone in the show had touched a dragon without Dany in control. While this has happened before with non-Targaryens in history, it was very rare and took years of training, and a very high body count. Tyrion could very well be revealed to be a Targaryen, a half-brother to Dany and an uncle to Jon, a role he kind of already plays, when you think about it. Page 3 The first of 2 Bran theories was teased in the second Game of Thrones promo we saw released this year. The promo showed Painted Table, the massive table at Dragonstone, with ice coming down from the north and fire coming up from the south. All of the house's emblems were engulfed in one of the other until the two came crashing together, making what looked like a new wall in the middle of Westeros. This is a very deep dive into some simple symbolism that has been a part of this series from the early days, but it would make sense if the war ended with Bran becoming Bran the Builder 2.0 and erecting a new, magic-filled wall to save what is left of the living. There are a lot of Brandon Starks in the Westerosi history books. One of the most famous was Bran the Builder, who was credited with building the massive, magical 700-foot wall that kept everyone in Westeros safe for centuries. Here is a full list of all the Brandon Starks. The folks at Winter is Coming broke the new wall theory down in detail. As ice meets fire, a jagged wall is born from the collision, running east to west across the middle of the continent. Some fans are saying that this is a wall of obsidian, known to the people of Westeros as dragonglass, which in our world forms when lava from a volcano cools rapidly. In other words, when fire meets ice. The going theory is that this could become the new wall, the old one having been breached by the Night King and his undead dragon mount. Essentially, a big part of the next season will result in a giant dragonglass wall being formed in the middle of Westeros. Who lives and who dies remains to be seen, but the wolf and dragon pieces turning into ice isn't a great sign for our heroes. Oh Cersei, the theory of a new wall being built isn't far-fetched. If the living are going to defeat the dead, they'll likely want to either put a new wall up or repair the old one to avoid any such undead attacks in the future. Then again, this teaser could have been symbolic of, say, where a key battle would happen. Next, death by little brother, page 44. The Valonqar prophecy implies that Cersei will die at the hands of her younger brother, by way of strangulation. This could mean a number of things. Tyrion is younger than her and has ample reasoning to strangle her. Jaime was born minutes after her. Hell, the Hound is the Mountain's younger brother, and it would be satisfying to see him kill his brother than Cersei, who the Mountain has been protecting for years. There are plenty of satisfying death options for Game of Thrones' worst villain. The most likely would be a full-circle narrative completion for Jaime. The Kingslayer murdered the Mad King when he had planned to burn the million or so people living in King's Landing. Jaime was viewed by many as a traitor, but in reality, he was a hero. When the war in Winterfell is presumably won and Jaime rides back down to King's Landing to be with his sister and future child, he'll, possibly, discover that Cersei is planning to draw the Stark, Northern armies and Daenerys' army to King's Landing, where she will use her wildfire reserve to blow them all to seven hells. Jaime will realize that in doing this, she'll also be killing hundreds of thousands of innocents and the entire Sellsword Golden Company army she hired and shipped over from Essos. She's stated countless times that the only thing that matters to her is protecting her family. Jaime will be forced to kill her, like he did the Mad King. It would be the ultimate happy, sad moment for viewers, torn between seeing the now beloved Jaime suffer and watching the evil cockroach Cersei finally die. Having our thoughts and feelings torn violently back and forth between happy and sad would be very Game of Thrones-esque. Another, less likely, Cersei death could come from the hands of Arya, who has Cersei on her list. If Jaime doesn't make it through the Battle of Winterfell, his face is up for grabs. It would be so damn satisfying to watch Arya, as Jaime, walk up to Cersei and strangle her as she's confused as to why it's happening and why Jaime has two hands. As she realizes what is going on, Arya unmasks herself and finishes the job. This is almost too satisfying to hope for. Next, it's all Bran's fault, page 5. Use your arrows to browse Game of Thrones Season 8, Isaac Hempstead Wright. Photo, Helen Sloan, Boz. All Bran's fault. This theory is not a stretch in any sense of the imagination because most of what is going on is actually his fault. Bran Green saw so much while training with the three-eyed raven that he let the Night King touch him. Once that touch occurred, the Night King was granted access to his whereabouts and the magic keeping him away was dissolved. Way to go, Bran. Bran's involvement may go even further back, to the Mad King Aerys, burn them all, days. We know that Bran's green-seeing, warging can cross both platform and time when we saw what he and Mira ended up doing to Hodor. A once normal boy, Hodor's entire life changed when Mira's "hold the door" scream somehow traveled into Bran's green-seeing vision as they were leaving the Three-Eyed Raven's cave. Hodor's brain was fried and his entire life became about protecting Bran. There is a speculation that Bran actually did the same thing to King Aerys Targaryen. In some of his early visions, Bran saw the Mad King screaming, "Burn them all." The famous saying that had him killed by Jaime Lannister in a self-sacrificing moment to save the people of King's Landing. Could the voices in the Mad King's head have been similar to what happened with Bran and Hodor? Could Bran have actually set these wars in motion? Use your arrows to Bran.